ワールドストラテジー世界の読み方、山岡鉄秀です。
Another thing the Japanese, the occupation did to the Japanese people was flooded the country with Bibles, missionaries and Bibles.
Yes.
At one point, MacArthur wanted to Christianize the Japanese people. Well, that was overambitious. But there's no, I think, denying that what the occupation did was lay a cultural foundation for post-war Japan, where Christianity became more respected than it even was in the Meiji period. And many people don't realize that Christianity laid the foundations for Meiji Bungaku. The modern Japanese novel was influenced by Christianity, even if many of the people weren't believing Christians. In the post-war period, you had an awesome, tremendous impact of Christianity in Japanese culture. Now, I've also come to the conclusion the post-war period is ending. And part of that ending is a withdrawal from the kind of dominant Christian ethics and culture that was so much a part of the post-war period. So pluses, minuses, and something in between.
I see. That's very, very interesting. In my understanding, one of the remnant of the efforts made by MacArthur to make Japan a Christian nation is the existing university by the name of ICU, International Christian University. Is that correct?
Right, that's right.
I see.
Yeah, I always have to laugh when I hear about that because MacArthur said, what Japan needs is a good Christian university. Okay, well, Japan had a bunch of Christian universities before MacArthur came. And even if we exclude the Catholic ones like Sophia, you can still count a number of Protestant universities like Doshisha and many others in Tokyo. And the guy was completely ignorant of the fact that Japan had a pre-existing Christian culture, but he wanted to remake Christianity so that it was inextricable with America. And that's what his goal was, I think, with ICU.
I see. I see. I heard that the MacArthur wanted to demolish Yasukuni Shrine, but it was stopped by, intercepted by the Dean of Sophia University. Is that correct?
Well, I know that there was a Jesuit named Bruno Bitta who was from Germany, and he warned MacArthur that if he destroyed Yasukuni, he would be known as someone like Caligula of Rome, a complete terrorist authoritarian. So yes, it was Jesuit intervention that stopped him from destroying Yasukuni. I think so, yes.
I see. And then the post-Tokyo war crime trials, the period, these days, perhaps for the past 10 years or so, the many Japanese people start talking about the particular program implemented in the post-war period by the occupying force, by the name of War Guilt Information Program. Do you think that really existed and also that made a huge impact on the Japanese people's mentality, do you think?
I'm not sure they needed to have the Americans try to impose war guilt on the Japanese people. That certainly made the situation worse. But I think there were a lot of Japanese who also came out of the war and felt bad, especially soldiers. You know, in America, we have that. We call it post-traumatic stress syndrome or something, you know. You come back from the war front, you did terrible things. It's not easy. And then you see, you know, things have gone terrible. Maybe you come back alive and your wife and your children are all burned to death. And so you start saying, why do we have this war? And so there are a lot of Japanese I've found who are almost emotional, not rational, but emotional about the war. And they're very open to this war guilt symptom, this war guilt mentality. Well, we see that everywhere. I mean, I'm fighting this recently with the Pope Leo of the Catholic Church, who says there's no such thing as a good war. Well, this is not long-standing teaching about just war theory. So we have today even an American Pope and people in Europe who think that all war is evil. And it's a very simplistic way of thinking. And I think the Japanese were encouraged to think that way. And again, with materialistic inducements, if you want to work for MacArthur and SCAP, denounce the war, denounce Japan's military, and we'll give you a nice job and we will allow you to eat. So they had all kinds of material reasons for developing this anti-war mentality. But it's become a big problem for Japan, hasn't it? Because if you're an absolute pacifist, China loves that. They love to hear Japanese are absolute pacifists. This is not in Japan's national interest. And I hope, I've been arguing for a number of years now, the Japanese overcome their absolute pacifism. We can all agree war is a terrible thing, but sometimes it's necessary when you have a neighbor who wants to take over your land, who wants to kill you, wants to go after you. You don't have a choice. I think this is what Trump was saying about Iran. They build a nuclear weapon, they're going to use it. Well, China has nuclear weapons and Japan doesn't. And I hope the Japanese wake up and realize that just talking about pacifism is not going to protect their children and their grandchildren.
I see. Yeah, the MacArthur and the occupying force try to make Japan as pacifist as possible. So they're not supposed to get armed again, even for the purpose of defense. But now it's putting the Japan in a more vulnerable situation against the rising China. What an irony. Okay, so you said that the economic growth that changed. The Japan became a quite rich country all of a sudden in a very short period of time, and that changed the people's attitude much more in a sense. I mean, but that was in 1970s, 80s, or after 1960s, as you mentioned. But it sort of ended, and then the Japanese people see the country's national strength is getting weaker and weaker. So the Japanese economy peaked out quite some time ago. So what do you think is the change, across the time? So the peaking the economic strength and now declining. So is this again making impact to Japanese people's mentality?
We can hope. I think there is something going on. I've said negative things about the changes in post-war and contemporary Japan, but there is one positive thing, and I think this may be what you're alluding to. You have a Prime Minister, Takaichi-san, who is very impressive. And she got an unbelievable support in her last election, a lot from younger Japanese. And these younger Japanese, I think, are more aware of a pragmatic nationalist approach to Japan's security situation. This is very good news. Now, at the same time, I was just in Japan, as you know, last year, and Japan, our economy is terrible, the yen is weak, and yet everywhere I went, they had the most amazing coffee shops and restaurants, and everything was comfortable, and the department stores function in Japan better than they do in America. Okay, some of that's they're selling to Chinese and foreigners, but you still have an amazing, what I would call, consumerist economy. So it's still a very pleasant place to live. It's a very pleasant place to get around. Lots of nice things. Economy is getting tougher, but still it's a pleasant place to be. And yet, that consumerist economy does not seem to be determining the mentality of Japanese, say, under the ages of 50 or so. They seem to be able to coexist with a very pleasant consumer economy and a realist notion that Japan needs to build its military. And they're the ones who are supporting Prime Minister Takaichi. I think it's wonderful. I wish her all the best. And that's the one bright spot I see in contemporary Japan, the enormous public support she got in her last election. Fantastic. That says something about where many younger Japanese people are today.
I see. I mean, you use the term the pleasure seeking to describe the typical mentality observed in the 1970s, 80s, and so on, when the Japanese economy was much stronger. more prosperous. But as opposed to that, do you think, I mean, that pleasure-seeking type of mentality slowly died out? Do you think? I mean, it's changed. I mean, today the young people are acting differently. Do you think?
That's a very good question. The problem is most of my Japanese friends are my age. And they're the ones that I was thinking of when I thought about pleasure-seeking Japanese. They're the pacifists. They're the ones who grew up in the great economy. And their great goal in life is to live a quiet life and to buy things and enjoy a nice home and stay out of politics, stay out of military. Yeah, it seems that the younger Japanese, and by younger, I have to say now 50 years and younger. 50 is now young, right? The people who are 50 years old and younger who are supporting Takaichi-san, I think there may be something else going on here, that they're able to say, we're proud to live in Japan. We like our coffee shops and our restaurants and our places, but that's not the only thing that we exist for. In fact, we want to protect those things, so we need stronger military spending. The test is going to be when Japan expands military participation, whether you have to have a draft or whether you just need more military soldiers, will more and more Japanese, particularly men, but maybe young women, will they step up and volunteer to join the military? I don't like to say self-defense. But, whether they're willing to actually spend time. Maybe Japan should have a mandatory period. I think Korea does for a certain number of years that young people should. Would they be willing to do that? Or are they still addicted to comfort? Then we'll know. Right? Military service. Would they do that? And I don't know. But I think Takaichi-san has started for more national security, and that's a good thing.
Doc-sensei, I'm so sorry, but that is very important part looks like it's lost because of the poor connection. Would you mind just to repeat that part? I mean, I asked you if the pleasure-seeking mentality has changed after the Japanese economy peaked out, so on. So would you please just repeat that part for me, please?
So I know there's pleasure-seeking Japanese, particularly people over the age of 60, and especially 70 and 80s. I've noticed younger Japanese under the age of 50 who are supporting Takaichi-san, Prime Minister Takaichi, and I think they're willing to recognize Japan's security needs. The real question is whether or not young Japanese would be willing to personally serve in the military. And if so, then maybe they will truly overcome their pleasure-seeking culture. But if they only want to vote for a politician while they enjoy their restaurants and coffee shops and talk about these issues, then there's still a long ways to go in terms of overcoming that pleasure-seeking culture. But I see a direction that's positive, and I think Takaichi-san is leading it in a very positive way.
ご視聴ありがとうございました。いいねボタン、ハイプボタン、そしてチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。また皆さんの意見をコメント欄にお寄せください。お待ちしております。ワールドストラテジー世界の読み方、山岡鉄秀でした。